I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm getting over being sick. So you're going to have to deal with my quiet, sexy voice. And this doesn't get any taller. Alright, we can do this. Alright. Hello everyone, my name is Cray. I'm here with Genji Glove. Of all the startups that I've ever started up before coming here, I'm one of the starty-uppiest very early in the stages. But I got a cool project here. Hopefully I can get you guys excited about it as well. So this out of the way, every time I ever speak, we get hung up on this. So yes, Cloud is my real name. It's not hippies. Yes, it's like the thing in the sky, I'm aware. And I have played Final Fantasy VII. My best friend growing up's name was Vincent, so we'll be really a kick out of that. The origin is Native American, and I'm mostly Irish. I'm the fourth in my family. There's a tree there. Okay, cool. Moving on now. Hey, it's Cloud. All right. Now we're here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Genji Glove. We're here to talk about a lot about video games. Okay, so virtual reality. It's a big set of technology, and there's another set of technology out there, video games, in that whole world. And there's a lot of crossover there, and there's a lot of great things we've all pulled from each other because of that. The gaming industry is really directing graphics to a degree where we can really start enjoying virtual reality in a big way. That's kind of the lens we're going to be viewing this from. That was a lot of the inspiration behind the Genji Glove project. I'll actually get in front of this where I can actually see what I'm going to be saying next. All right, close enough. Cool. So we can talk a little bit about why virtual reality kind of came out of gaming, or how that sort of drove the industry and kind of put us where we are today. So we've tried to do immersive gaming before. Never really happened the way we wanted to. We had the Virtual Boy, which is great to get your eyes fried. We had other efforts for immersive gaming. We had guns, duck hunts, and all that good stuff. We're using the super scope. We had driving simulators, which have become their own niche market and kind of gone off and been crazy, but very much driving is a driving simulator. And of course, because half you guys already have the joke in mind by the time you walk over to my demo, yes, we've tried gloves before, and it was so bad. It's just the power glove by Nintendo. Yes, I'm aware that it's been done, and it sucked. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the success stories about immersion and how the gaming industry has helped us. In 2006, the best-selling console of all time hit the shelves. The Wii was the first time we really had immersion come into our own homes, come into our living rooms, get up and swinging swords around and stuff like that, and they missed out on a lot of revenue by having Wii Bowling shipped with it, because that was awesome. One of the best party games in my mind. Then, of course, we had, in 2010, arguably the most popular peripheral device ever for video games, which was the Kinect. It's hard to quantify because they started selling it automatically with the device later. But millions and millions of these sold. I think 350 million was the number?
26 million.
26 million, which was 350 million in revenue, I think, for that. Okay. Something like that. I don't know. I've got numbers somewhere. That was in 2010. After some pressure from the development community, aka a lot of hacking from the development community, Microsoft opened up their low-level API for that and became kind of the poster child for robotics projects and a lot of other great things, and a lot of skeleton tracking and stuff we use today as well. And then, of course, the darling of VR that we all like to talk about, the new kid on the block. In 2012, Oculus Rift had their famously overfunded Kickstarter, and then, of course, in 2014, Facebook bought them out for $2.2 billion before they even had a consumer product ready. And to give you some scale of what that means industry-wise, within 36 hours of the announcement of DevKit 2, there were 45,000 pre-orders. So we believe that VR is here. Some of the big guys are starting to invest in. We really believe that's going to happen. We finally have the graphics where they need to be. We have a lot of the development community ready to rock and roll for this. So tally-ho. Now the thing is, a couple people have tried to have input devices to keep suit with the graphics and with the sound as we've had it lately, but none of them are quite doing it the way that I want yet. I want to talk a little bit about the other technologies that are available for input. Their vision systems. The Kinect is probably the most popular one. They just came out with a high-definition version for Xbox One. It's great. It relies on camera angles. You lose resolution as you get further away from them. It takes a lot of processing power as well. It can sometimes be overkill, but then again, it can be very, very accurate. There is wireless controllers. The Wii Nunchuck is probably the biggest success story on that because Nintendo opened up their API on that one. And then, of course, the Razer Hydra here that you see has full motion tracking in space, which is great. There's a wonderful demo back there if you guys want to check that out that uses a Razer Hydra. But still, there's a bit of a trade-off because you do have to hold on to a controller, unlike you have to do with Kinect, and you have to press buttons and stuff like that. Now, I'm going to be talking about this, and just to make sure we're clear, This is called the Mayo armband from Thalmic, but this is not the same as Mayo Studios that just presented. So if I rip on Mayo, it's this one. Okay. I tended to use EMG, electromyography. You're going to hear that a lot in my presentation. EMG, it's measuring muscle activity. They try to do fine motor input, like track each one of your individual fingertips based on the muscle activity in your forearm. And it was wanting. They did end up having a couple of development kits out there, and they're not as accurate as they would have hoped in their initial marketing. And they have not released their low-level API, so they're relying on their engineers to make it even better. So that one's probably best just for releasing a camera on your, like releasing the shutter on your camera or something like that. It's great for like smartphone major gestures, but it's not quite there for virtual reality yet. Just need to mention that because it's using EMG, and we'll be talking about that. There are treadmills. You might have seen some of these. This is the Virtuix Omni. There's a couple of these out there. It's the idea you strap yourself up on a belt, you run around, and it's super slippery shoes, and you have to do a little Scooby-Doo run. But there's some great first-person shooter virtual reality things going on with that. Then, of course, we have the Peregrine. We're going to talk about gloves, so let's talk about the other gaming glove that's out there. Peregrine is just for keyboard shortcuts. It's great for World of Warcraft players. You map a bunch of key mappings to little buttons, and it's great, but it's all digital input. I mean, it's not really something for virtual reality yet, but hey, whatever keyboard shortcuts, we like being able to switch our options on a moment's notice. And then, of course, we still have controllers. We use these all the time in some of our demos here. Keyboard and mouse, or, of course, traditional Xbox controllers. It's all good. They all have some really good pieces to them, but the state of virtual reality today is still pretty tricked out to get what you want, and it's not quite where I want it to be, and I'll talk about that. So this is the state of virtual reality today for gaming. This is a guy playing Skyrim, and he's got his Oculus Rift on there. I think this is back in Dev Kit 1. He's on a treadmill. This is not Virtuix Omni, but it's a close runner-up. And you see in his hands he's using a couple Wiimotes, and he's playing there. Now, yeah, we can see that he's running around the dish. Okay, I'll take that. You can have full range of view, which is great. We see a disconnect with what's happening with his hands and the character on screen. On screen, we're seeing that he's shooting fire from his hands and lightning, but you see that he's actually holding onto a couple controllers here. He's pushing buttons, and that's not good enough for me. Inspiration here. I saw my little sister, I'm off at college at the time when the Wii comes out, and my little sister goes, oh, we finally got one. I was like, oh, it's awesome, what's it like? She's like, oh, you got the Zelda game, you have to like swing her. I'm like, oh, it's so cool. So I come home from Christmas, and they're like, hey, Mom, she goes, oh, your sister's in the other room, she's playing on the Wii. I was like, oh, I gotta see this. And I'm hearing the going on with Zelda. And I walk in, and my sister's sitting on the couch. You're home. And I was like, get off the couch, what's wrong with you? It was so disappointing to see that and Link's up there going nuts and stuff like that, and I wanted to see you get into the game. This is our first chance to like really get into it. And it wasn't enough for me, and so I wanted a way for us to have our effort actually be rewarded in games. I see here, I don't want to press a button and instruct my avatar to take an action. I want to do it myself, okay? I don't want to sit and enjoy the ride as the mighty dragonborn summons flames and lightning from his mighty palms. I want to command the elements myself. I basically want to use the Force. Is kind of what it comes down to. And ultimately, what this comes down to is where the Genji comes in. So the Genji is a wearable input device. We have a couple here tonight. This is prototype. Had a wonderful circuit board that was pleasantly designed and one circuit short of working, so that's back in the shop right now, and designers working on the actual final release, but we do have a couple functional ones here tonight. It's a wearable video game controller, essentially an input device for much more than just video games. It can do a lot of fine motor input stuff. You'll see there's a system of electrode buttons on there. This is great for key mappings for if you've got to jump or navigate a menu or something like that really quickly. There's a joystick on the knuckle itself. I'm got a little presenter here, but whatever. Which is great. Instead of like having to set up one of those treadmills in your living room or something like that, which reminds me a lot of like DDR or something like that. We can conserve space by having a joystick in our hand and still being able to move our characters around without having to run around in place, or we just need a traditional controller or like pilot a vehicle. And then there's a sweet system of triple axis magnetometers, which are extremely accurate on, I think, like 10,000 degrees of accuracy, not degrees of freedom, degrees of accuracy, as opposed to PS, the Power Glove had like 256, so that's why it failed. Anyway, for those that were wondering. Triple axis magnetometers, there's a permanent magnet in the palm, and so this gives you actually orientation and distance information from the palm of your hand for each fingertip, independent of where your hand is in space. So this is great for some fine motor control stuff, telling you when you've made a fist or when you're pointing or something like that. I've got a demo over here where we're actually translating American Sign Language alphabet in real time. And the nice thing about it is, considering its direct sensation, there's no processing power, there's no calculations, there's no drift or anything like that. You're actually getting real-time readings of where your fingertips are. That's really good stuff for developers out there. Now, of course, that's all well and fun, but we need some gross motor input as well. This is what kind of the Kinect does. This is waving your arms around, slashing with a sword or something like that. Anything that's actually using your whole arm and not just your fingertips. There's a 6 degrees of freedom accelerometer and gyroscope, motion processing unit, the blah, blah, blah. It's what's in your smartphones that tells you which way it's up, stuff like that. It's a very common sensor. I mean, you'll see these in Wiimotes and stuff like that. This tells you pitch, yaw, and roll for your hand, or position in space as well. You can do a little bit of tracking there as well, motion-wise. Also extremely accurate, getting about 60 reads, or no, sorry, 100 reads per second on the 100 now. That was a new development. Sorry, about 100 reads per second. Very great detailed information for orientation in space, and of course for motion. You can do dynamic and static gesture recognition. For developers out there, this is saying, static is just saying, like, this is a peace sign. This is claw or something like that. And then it's saying, like, waving or like point or like, I don't know, crane style or something like whatever. And then there's my favorite sensor as well, which is the EMG sensor. So electromyography, we talked about that. That's muscle sensation. This is actually measuring the effort that you're putting in your actions along your forearm. This is great for, the demo we have today is Skyrim, where you get out there and you get your flames equipped. You hold up your hand like you could from the Kinect or Lead Motion, and nothing's going to happen. You actually have to flex. You have to get into it for you to get rewarded with that. And then, of course, so for that, it's just key mapping, so it's just pulling the trigger. But eventually, you can actually, it's actually an analog value between 1 and 1,000. And so you can actually get rewarded for the more you put into it. So if you punch your enemy is all right, no good. But if you really put some muscle behind it, you can actually get some sweet input. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about accuracy and about speed right here. So a quick little clip here of basic gesture recognition for static gesture recognition. This is the ASL alphabet. You see a nice little letter right here. Oh, and is that not going to play? Not going to play nice? Oh, video's not going to play. It's going to make me sad, that's true. Come on, I believe. Wait for it. Wait for it. Too much waiting for it? See, I should have brought my laptop in here. One more try, one more try. Okay, that's not what I intended. We might not get to see some of the cool stuff. You'll have to drop by and see that. Now we get the hourglass of death. No good.
Sorry about that. You
So
got some monitors in your room, you can put it on loop in your room.
Yeah, we can do that. And, alright, but it's really fast and really accurate. And then, hey, so is the extremely detailed magnetometer data, which we will also not be seeing right now.
Look, this is like past. That is.
And the EMG sensor is also very sensitive to the amount of speed you're doing, which we will also not see right now. Sorry about that. All right. So, a little history about the device itself. The Genji was entered into Intel's Make It Wearable competition last summer. That was kind of when this went from pet project to business proposal and going on to consumer product. Semi-finalists, so top 40. It's a little difficult to pitch the business plan of saying, hey, I'm going to build a device and then I'm going to build an entire developer community before I release it to any consumers. And once they built up enough libraries and got support for the video games, we're going to release that. That's a bit of a stretch compared to just selfie-bot drone. So, nothing better. It's also completely Arduino compatible, so if anybody wants to hack away at it a little bit, there's also going to be an expansion port which will allow you to add on some of your own cool stuff. If you want to maybe create, I don't know, a wrist-mounted flamethrower, you can, like, feel free. Stuff like that. Not to give you any ideas, we have no one under 18 here, right? Because I can't endorse that. For those of you that are wondering why are you calling it the Genji Glove. The Genji Glove is an homage to my personal favorite video game, Final Fantasy 3/6. Actually, the entire franchise, might I add, but this is where I first heard of it. It's the best item in the game. It allows you to free up both hands for attacking. So hey, this frees up your hands, and it sounds cool, and it's a gaming glove, and get over it. It's fun. Okay. So, what comes after all that good stuff? Yes, it's been a labor of love. I just need to show my embarrassing slides of where this has come. So this came from me in a sleeveless shirt one night having an EMG sensor and saying, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of cool. I wonder if I can map out some of my video games to this. And then moving on until we finally have what we have today. We're in version 4.0, which does not expose any of your wires or anything like that, and moving on to 5.0 in the near future. We want to talk a little bit more about the future of this. I mean, this lends itself, this was here actually last month. I don't know if Kevin's here tonight, but got him. Probably a couple people here know Kevin. So, hey, Kevin's not here, so I was going to be waiting here. Okay. So where is this going right now? Right now, still very much in startup mode. Should I walk more in front of the screen? All right. Still very much in startup mode for investors. Doing designs for the final prototype, which will be the actual, effectively the dev kit one of the Genji. Still deciding a couple of last minute things on sensors and stuff like that. Do we include a heart rate monitor, a couple things like that. Other considerations: how many expansion ports do we want? Where should it go? What kind of cables we're going to use? All that good stuff. What is this kind of useful for? Well, I mean, the immediately available ones are going to be some key mappings for your fantasy and adventure games. So, like Bioshock would be great. One finger can be a trigger finger, while the other one's summoning lightning and all that good stuff, depending on what exactly you've got mapped right there. There's some other fan favorites where it'd be great to be able to use your hands, but you'd get a little too tired of maybe pickaxing too long. Maybe you should actually just map that to your individual buttons. But it'd be great to actually not hold on the controller and be able to just have the thumbstick right there on your hands. And then, of course, there's some of the more obvious applications. And here's a wonderful video that's not going to be playing, but apparently the live demo is going to be pretty good too. Of very on Dave. Where'd Dave go?
Nope.
Over 2. Guest appearances. No celebrity shots tonight. Okay, I have a wonderful video of him playing Skyrim here. It's also playing with no mods, by the way. This is a great thing about this and where this is going is the reason this was entered in Intel's Make It Wearable is instead of just having this as a sensor array, it'll actually have the data being fed to an Intel Edison board, which is a powerful little computer about the size of an SD card, and it can do all the processing for all the gesture recognition, all that high-level API stuff that we didn't get to see a second ago, with your gesture recognition turning into key mappings and stuff like that, and then exporting that over Bluetooth to make whatever you're playing on, a computer or iPad or whatever, believe that it's just hooked up to a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse. So you don't actually have to support the device and whatever you're using it for. It can be a very portable input device. You can do all those key mappings. It's completely retro-compatible. We'll be playing Skyrim tonight. There's a couple of mods running it to make sure that Oculus Rift can work on it, but no mods to actually support the Genji. And then, of course, we can take all the processing off board, although tonight it's going to be all on my really fast gaming laptop. So that's not going to be working, so there's no point in showing that. So the big question on everybody's mind when we get to this point is, okay, haptic feedback, right? If we've got something, if you put something on my hand, you better do something with it more than just like read what my hand's doing. Well, the answer to that is yes. The when is going to be difficult. A couple reasons. Because everyone thinks, I mean, for 15 years we've put up with nothing more than rumble packs and vibrating controllers, and we can do a lot better than that. Graphics have come so far, sound has come so far without touch. So, we can do high definition vibrating controllers and stuff like that, vibrating motors here. This is about the size of your typical vibrating motor these days, or you can, you know, if you touch a menu with one finger, that one finger vibrates, but if you pick something up, the palm of your hand vibrates or something like that, and we're doing all this vibrating all over the place, and it's getting very annoying. I mean, your hand gets all tingly after a while. So there's other cool stuff that's available, and I'm researching a couple of these to see which ones are going to be the most useful and also cost effective, because just adding this adds $50 to the entire thing, just materials wise. So exactly. So looking at you. And we need the input device to be up and running first, so you don't almost touch the button and your finger buzzes. So gotta make sure that's all down first. But what else is available right now? You guys might have heard of Core FX. These guys build the Haptic vest. It uses sound. This is being used in first-person shooters. You get shot in the chest. You get hit with a bit of a bass blast. If you've ever been when a car drives by with bass, you can feel your chest thumping. That same sort of thing, but localized. So you actually feel like you've been impacted. Impact emulation. There are some cool technologies out there. Apple just filed a patent for this, as well as Disney did, for texture simulation and emulation, which is the idea of touching something and the surface is smooth, the surface is rough, my hand is wet, stuff like that. That's real, it exists. Looking to see what it takes to put that on a wearable device. And then, of course, long stretch. Anybody ever heard of Nitinol in the house? Nitinol, street name memory wire. Has anyone seen Batman Begins? When he brings out the Batcape and he goes, oh, like Morgan Freeman, Lucius Fox is like, oh, but you run a current through it and it snaps into like that shape. That's a real material that exists. That's real. It's actually relatively cheap too, might I add. Problem is it creates incredible electrical interference, which kind of screws with some magnetometers and those were hey-o. But I think I'd be willing to get around that or put the extra effort in if I could tell you that you close your hand around an object in space and suddenly you feel a solid object in your hand, or you touch a wall and your hand flattens out. So this is all stuff that's being researched right now, looking at the cost effectivity of that. First of all, just getting this out there as an input device, get people building that, making it pretty nice. So that's all on the horizon though. Now I've talked about gaming, there's obviously many more applications beyond that. Medical rehabilitation, being able to measure when people are getting fine motor control back, stuff like that. I could see taking piano lessons virtually or something like that and telling you, oh, you used the wrong finger for that note or something. All sorts of great education tools out there. And social applications. I imagine an application where instead of Skyping my sister in California, she and I both put on our headsets and we end up in a virtual art studio. And we get up and we build a little object out of clay while we're chatting about how our day's going, and we both spray paint it and print it off and send it off for Christmas, I don't know, something like that. I don't know, possibilities are endless. That's a wonderful thing about an input device. Hopefully you guys get a chance to try it tonight and get your imaginations working well, get excited about this. Like I said, we're very, very early in the process of the startup mode. There's nothing really commercially available yet. I'm gonna hopefully do a Kickstarter this summer, and hopefully you guys can get excited about this in the meantime. And hopefully you guys get a chance to try this tonight and you guys enjoy it as well. With that, thank you, and I'll take questions and comments if you have time.
That's whatever movie files are there.
It's the biggest movie file that's there.
Was it all in one movie?
No, it's just one, but the one that we want to see.
I got it.
Right now, there's sort of
Yeah, look at him shooting again.
there's also like agents that are like.
If you want to switch over to the sword, you want to clench your fist and get your thumb downwards.
Contributed to the code for. We did the early 3D mapping code.
So if you want to switch over to the sword,
So Google
clench
paid
your
us
fist
for that,
and
yeah.
sit down.
Yeah.
Spin your arm around.
No, they have a developer kit that's like $5 now.
Any Easter eggs?
And
this
but
thing?
we
Make any
yeah.
threatening gestures?
Wow, that's awesome.